All right, hi, my name is Adeline, and I'm going to teach you guys how to make an origami box today. All right, so first of all, I want to talk about some history about origami. So oru, which is what ori comes from, means to fold, and then gami means kami, which means paper. So fold paper. So some history about origami. Paper was invented in China around 105 AD, and then monks brought the paper to Japan. So at first it was quite expensive to make and get. So it was more of a ceremonial thing or something for richer people. But it later became cheaper, and then origami became something for recreational purposes. And then separately, that's why this is after here. But separately, origami and folding of paper was also being developed in Europe. So that was more, they were already beginning to touch on mathematical folding. And then in 1797, the very first origami book was published in Japan, and there's definitely thousands of more that have been published. Then later on, 1800s, so closer to now, kindergarten age children began folding, so it became a very common thing. And then it became even more popular with someone called the Grandmaster of Origami, Akira Yoshizawa, and basically he kind of pioneered modern origami and systematic design and kind of an establishment of basic rules that everybody follows about origami. So now going over some of those rules, basically I divided it into three categories. So firstly, material. The material you use, you have to have something that starts off flat, but it can also hold creases when you fold it. So paper is the perfect example. It starts off flat and thin, but when you bend it and crease, which means just making a fold firm and permanent, making it permanent, that paper does the job of holding those creases. And then just quickly going over to the two creases that make up all of origami. There's mountain creases and valley creases, or mountain folds, valley folds. So mountain just makes a fold like this, like a mountain, and a valley is just like this. So yeah, that's what pretty much everything, all origami models and pieces are made of. So secondly, there's tools. So no cutting is allowed. Everything has to be folded, and also there's no decoration. Like after you fold it, you can't necessarily paint or draw or glue stuff. Uh, Primarily at this point, it's just using your hands to create this piece of art. And then the third is the shape and the number of papers you start off. So traditionally, it's just one square piece of paper. Uh, so oftentimes it's like the standard piece of kami paper. It might come in like a small package like this, and you'll have a bunch of different colors. But yeah, basically that's the typical piece of paper. So it's pretty thin and it's like colored on one side and then white on the other side. And then there might be other pieces which are modular, and that means you have to have multiple pieces of paper. And you might also have other convex shapes like hexagons and other rectangles. So firstly, we have the traditional. So I'm going to talk about different types of origami. So firstly, there's the traditional types like the cranes, lilies, frogs, boats, samurai hats, the typical ones you can make with one piece of paper, one small piece of paper, stuff that you might make as a kid. And then there's modular, which means you have multiple pieces of paper. Kusudamas are basically spherical modular pieces, so they're round like this one. And you can see all of the pieces made are all the same, so they're all repeated, but they're all put together in a very certain specific way. There's also tessellations, which might be from one piece of paper, but you'll have a repeated pattern that you crease and collapse together into a pretty cool looking tessellation. So that you might start from one square piece of paper or a hexagon or a rectangle. And then there's also complex or super complex. And these models are pretty advanced, and their representational become even more realistic. And the typical rule is that you start from one square piece of paper, but it can be from a very thin piece of paper and a very large piece of paper, several feet even. I'm going to show everything from start to finish. So I'm going to show you how to make the box from start to finish, and then the lid from start to finish. So don't worry, everything will be in order. And then you can always pause when you need more time. And also I'll be repeating certain steps or showing things at a different angle, but always feel free to rewind if you want to see it again. And you can also slow down the video if it's too fast, or speed it up. And overall, I hope you have fun with this and hopefully something relaxing. And you can always come back to this because it is in a video format. So we're going to make a box, but we'll also make a lid. So just like this. So that's what we're gonna make. We'll first make the box, and then we'll make a lid that will go over the box. So first is, folding the corners to the center, and then we're gonna make the sides. So we're gonna crease that and then begin to unfold parts of that in order to collapse it into the box. So let's get started.
First, we'll start with the actual box. We have to start with our light side up. So basically, we're folding one edge to this edge first. Pieces. And use your fingers or your nails to make a nice, precise, firm crease. Then unfold that, and we're going to repeat the same thing on the other sides. And now when you unfold it, we have a 2x2 grid. So that's kind of our reference so that we can make our corners now. So we're just taking one corner to the center, the other corner, and all of the corners to the center. So again, kind of roll it up, use the lines, the creases that we just made as reference. Alright, so now we have a mini square now, and you can see this is already beginning to take shape. So we're going to make our sides now. What we're going to do is, keeping these creases folded, we're not unfolding anything, we're going to have this edge come to the center. Just like that. And then doing the same thing on the other side. Alright. Okay, so yeah, you can see we have the creases for our box. So now we're going to unfold two opposite sides. So we're going to press here, making sure everything continues to line up, and folding here. Then doing the same thing on the other side, that and like that. Alright, now you can kind of unfold it like this, and you can see these are the sides of our box. So now to finish it up, we're going to start with one end. This part is going to fold over like this, and it's going to secure everything in place. So it's kind of already coming into place, as you kind of push it in. Let's just crease down to make this crease more solid, doing the same thing on the other side. So now we have something like this, and now just tucks in. So it's helpful to kind of hold this side out, and so that we can make as nice of a fold as possible. Crease over it. And do the same thing on the other side. We're going to push this end here. You can use your pointer finger, and then fold like that, and then crease here. Alright, so now we have the box. Okay. Alright, so now we're just going to make the lid, starting from your other piece of paper. And this time, we want something that will fit over this, right? So we aren't going to fold this part all the way to the center. We're going to leave a small gap, still completely parallel. Again, make sure these folds stay folded. And then we're going to match down the other side. So again, don't go all the way. So we have a gap now, right? So now to see if this would fit over a lid, we'll just take our box we just made and we'll put it right here. Yes, I think it will fit. Again, if it's too loose, you can bring this part closer to the center. If right now it wouldn't fit, then you would bring this further out. Right now, I think this is okay. All right, so now I'm gonna kind of replicate these folds on this side, sure everything stays in place. We're gonna see this crease here. And we should have a square here. You can see as we kind of copy that, we can see it doesn't meet the center, and that's what we wanted. Then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. Then looking out for this part where the intersection between here and here. And then doing the same on this side. Alright. What we want to do is open up 2 corners, keeping these folded, crease here, and then crease here, and then doing the same here. See, we have the gap now. That's what we want. Again, same process. We want to make this fold here, so I'm going to do that. Then make this fold here. And notice these don't meet, and that's what we want. That's because of the gap we made earlier. So now we can fold this over. Okay, and then you can kind of crease over it to kind of really secure it. And then we kind of maneuvered and bended it so it's not perfect square, so you can just fold over it, and that helps keep this flat from coming back out again as well. So let's do the other side, and then kind of push this inward with your pointer fingers, just like that. And we're making the crease here. So just pressing that down nicely, and doing the same on the other side. And then folding this right. Ta-da. Alright, so now let's see if it's gonna fit in fit over our box we made. So just take the lid and put it over the box. And now you can actually put stuff in here. So yeah, that's how to make this box. You can completely encapsulate it or have it. And yeah, that's the classic Masu box. You can make as many of these as you like. You can make a bigger paper, smaller paper, and you can always rewind and watch this video again if you'd like, or maybe you've already memorized it. So yeah, hopefully that was cool and hope you enjoy.